All right, we are live, and something really cool happened today in the gym. I was I was in the sauna, and I'm just talking to this. I just see this old man pop in, and sorry, I'm not in the sauna. I'm in the steam room. So in the steam room, there's a lot of steam. There's a lot of steam. You cannot see what's happening. You cannot clearly see the person sitting beside you because there's a lot of steam. And this old man walks in, and he sits beside me, and I'm just like, "Hey, how's your workout?" And he's like, "Pretty good." And he was like, "How's yours?" I'm like, "Pretty good." And I hear an accent. I'm like, "Is that Persian?" He's like, "No, no, French." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then one of my other friend pops in, and I start talking to him, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm done with the steam. Let's go out." Also, I think I need to be okay. I should be not doing too much steam because I was doing too much sauna, and now my nose and my ears are bleeding. But anyways, what was I talking about? Yes. So basically, then I'm like, I do my sauna, and then I'm like, okay, let's get out. Let's eat some, not eat. Let's drink some smoothie. And I get my smoothie. I'm waiting over there, and the same old man comes in, and I'm like, hey, were you born over here? Were you born over there? He's like, hey, I moved to Vancouver 30 years ago, and I was here for an exchange program, and then I loved it, and I just stayed over here. And then he's like, this is mine. And I'm like, what? So he's like, Body Energy Club is mine. I'm the CEO of Body Energy Club. I founded Body Energy Club. I'm like, this is so fucking cool. This is so fucking cool. Because I love Body Energy Club. I love Body Energy Club. There are so many friends. I was actually talking about it just last night with one of my buddies that look at Brian Johnson. So we all know Brian Johnson. Let's see Brian Johnson's Twitter profile quickly, just so that we know who we're talking about. Brian Johnson. We know Brian Johnson. Actually, let me send him. Let me send him Brian Johnson. Conquering death with humanity's will be humanity's greatest achievement. Okay. How do we share this? Copy to Leah. Okay. So we were talking about Brian Johnson, and then I'm like, yeah, like Brian Johnson talks about this stuff where he's like, all look at all these slushies and stuff. It's not good that how we okay. It's not good how all the parents basically feed all their kids with this stuff. And I'm like, you cannot change that. Like, if you want to change that, you have to create more Body Energy Club and tractors, just like we have in Vancouver. Vancouver is a very health first city. It's a very network thing. If all your friends, if that's your social circle, if that's all your friends are, and you suddenly go like, no, I am not going to go out for drinking. I'm going to go to bed at 9 p.m. I'm going to go run in the morning. I'm not going to sleep until 11. But all your friends do it. You are basically isolating yourself. So there's a really social fabric going on over there, where social fabricing going on over there, where everybody, if all your friends, all the people around you are doing a certain thing, and whatever is available, then you are going to do the same thing. So that was the idea, that we need stuff like Body Energy Club everywhere. We need stuff like Tractor, really healthy, fresh food everywhere. And so I was like, hey, I really love what you have built over here. And he was like talking aloud. Now we have opened more chains in LA and stuff, and it's amazing. And even like if you think about Equinox also does this, where every Equinox has either inside or right beside it, they partner with a good brand that can provide smoothies and like food and all the supplements to their clients right there and then in that same location. So they always have this one. They don't do their own, but they always partner with someone good in that city to offer smoothies, food, and all of that in that same facility. Again, great on Equinox, because Equinox also understands that, hey, we want people to be spending a lot of time over here. We are building a community, and food is a big part. You have to have food, you have to have smoothie, you have to have all the supplements, because people are going to buy that. So why not control that, and why not keep it in our facility so people stay longer? There's more foot traffic, and people build a community. And if you build community, if you keep on meeting, like the biggest reason I go to Equinox, all my friends go to the gym in my building, but I go to Equinox because I have friends over there. I love how the most good looking, fit, happy people who also make money, they all come to Equinox. That's the reason I go to Equinox. And now you're building a community, and now you make friends. And if you have friends over there, now you're gonna keep going over there. And friends is everything. Like if you really like the people in a particular spot, you will keep going over there. And that is a retention mechanism. Have people make friends in your business, in your community, and that is the best way. That is the best retention mechanism. But anyways, I just sent him that one thing. What else? All right. What do we have next? What do we have next? Brian Johnson is over here. I was really curious about this. What is brianjohnson.comey.io? What is Comey? All right, not a nice photo. This is when he was trying to experiment with his fashion sense, but I think he's getting better. He's getting better. I think he went into this phase where he was like very ravey, a very ravey vibe, but I think he's getting better. All right. We don't know why he partnered with Comey. These are all the supplements, okay? What do we have? We have Free Protocol. We have starter kits. We got, where's the olive oil? Speed of aging, supplements, meat and snacks, merch and accessories, all products. All right. And here are the best products, I'm guessing. Bodybuilding destroyed my hormone. Jesse, this is serious. Oh, I'm curious. What is this?
What are top 5 tips?
I'm curious. I'm so close to effing up. Don't die. Why kids can't focus anymore? You deserve better. The system keeps you tired. Legit. Top 1% biomarkers. Okay, Brian's protocol. Merch, Don't Die t-shirt 26, Don't Die hat 34, Don't Die crew neck. We gotta make it more. We gotta just add a little bit of, let's say, reigning champ style. Just a little bit of reigning champ style. Yeah, we the people. Okay, now we have some style over here. Don't Die by zero. But okay, this also makes sense. The proto project. Okay, code 7. Whoa, is he writing books or something? What is this? By Brian Johnson, from the best-selling author of Code 7. What? $7. Okay. From the best-selling award-winning author of Code 7, The Cracking the Code of an Epic Life. Johnson keeps the middle school laughs going in this action-packed, accessible look at the pros and cons of advancing AI technology contemporary tale, so to intrigue and entertain young readers. When Jason meets his mom's billion-dollar invention, an AI device named Proto, the Proto Project. Okay, he accidentally gets caught up in a mysterious adventure. Proto goes missing, and then people go missing. Now, Jason and his coolest neighbor ever, Maya, must risk their lives to prevent global mayhem. But who is behind this devious plot? Is it another AI, the FBI, or any other abbreviation with an I? What exactly? Oh, I mean even FBI, AI. Okay. What exactly? CIA. What exactly is there to learn about artificial human intelligence while fighting for your life against a legion of furry puppies or a battalion of drones? A lot if you live to tell about it. I have 2 sons, and my younger one, he's 9, enjoys books a lot, but only when I or my husband read it to him. This book was so exciting, fun to read, that he could not wait for us and just decided to read it on his own. He finished it within 3 days and asked me to buy more books from this author. But if this is not convincing enough to buy this book, then I do not know what else would be. Oh, yeah. Where's the release date? Brian Johnson, editor. Where's the release date? Read sample. Okay. Johnson Code 7 2017 offers a well-calculated balance of suspense and humor for middle school readers. Action sequences are exciting and dramatic, a well-written, fast-paced, and thoughtful adventure. This is very interesting. Brian Johnson is a book. Writes books. Okay. Cracking the Code for an Epic Life. I think this is also very interesting. I don't know, is it a good business? Give me 10 celebrities. I think also, who was it? I forgot the name. But the person who married, who was part of a show and who married one of the princes of England. Give me 10 she also wrote a children's book. Give me 10 celebrities who have written a children's book. Let's see. Reese Witherspoon, yes, always wrote Busy Betty, inspired by her childhood adventures. Jamie Lee Curtis has authored, okay. Barack Obama, okay, interesting. Whoa, Kevin, he did that too, alright. Kelly Clarkson published River Rose and the Magical Lullaby based on her daughter's experiences. Serena Williams wrote The Adventures of Kai Kai, inspired by her daughter's favorite doll. Madonna has penned 5 children books, including The English Roses and Mr. Peabody's Apples. LeBron James, author I Promise, drawing from his work with the I Promise School. Natalie Portman reinvented classic tales in fables. Jimmy Fallon wrote Your Baby's First Word Will Be Dada, aimed at new parents and their kids. John Cena published Elbow Grease, a story about a little truck with big dreams. Whoa. Little truck, the hub. Joey, Elbow Grease. Wow, John Cena. This is cool. This is cool. Elbow Grease, an electric monster truck, and the smallest in his family of bigger, faster, more meat-headed demolition derby brothers. He's slow, but what he doesn't have in fossil fuels, he makes up for in gumption. He makes in gumption. And Will Smith wrote Just the Two of Us. Just the Two of Us. Based on themes in his famous song. Yeah, exactly. Na na na, just the two of us. All right. I want to know about motivation. Give me motivation of each of them as to why they chose to write a children's book. I'm curious. Is there a business model? Is this like good business? Or is it because the moment they have kids, they are like, okay, I want to create my own story? What is the motivation? Is it that suddenly when you become a parent, you are like, oh, I would rather control the story that I would like children book are, what are children books? Children books are basically, it's basically you're trying to give them a lesson, but using something like electric truck, a pea, a cat, a mouse, a rat, a tortoise. So what you're trying to do is you're like, okay, I want to teach my kid a lesson. I want to teach my kid a lesson, but I cannot just say it to him. I have to create an emotion. I have to convince that, okay, read this book in which this tortoise, which you absolutely love, goes through this beautiful experience. And at the end, he learns that you should always listen to your dad, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So let's see. Reese Witherspoon wanted to channel her energetic childhood into a character that inspired kids, especially girls, to be curious, imaginative, and entrepreneurial. Becoming a mother made her think about authentic young female characters and resilience through failure. Okay, this is interesting. This one is like, okay, I couldn't think of many storybooks, children books that were focused on authentic young female characters, and she wanted to do it for them. Okay, resilience through failure. Jamie Lee Curtis, her first book sprang from something funny, her 4-year-old said. More broadly, she wants to empower kids with humor and life lessons, often calling them self-help books for children, and to help kids grasp big ideas like time, waiting, and competition through their own lens. Kelly Clarkson created stories as keepsakes so her daughter would remember their travels, then developed them into a picture book. She hoped to inspire kids and include an original lullaby to enrich the bedtime reading experience. Serena Williams, inspired by her daughter's beloved doll, Kai Kai, bedtime story time, and a desire to spread joy and self-belief, also motivated to create a character reflecting more diverse dolls than she had as a child, so her daughter could relate. Madonna, okay, so again, like very focused on what can I show to my daughter. Madonna, encouraged by her Kabbalah teacher, to share moral. Actually, while we are doing this, we should definitely kick off her X20. And also, I had this question yesterday. Okay. If my goal is to push the limits of agentic use cases with Perplexity. Comet. It to do. What should I ask it to do? Alright, let's see. What do we get? LeBron James extends the AI promise ethos from his school to a picture book so kids can see themselves in it, make commitments to themselves, and believe big dreams are possible through hard work and accountability, reflecting his own childhood and community focus. Natalie Portman rewrote classic fables, whose lessons she found relevant today: foundation, environment, real fulfillment versus superficiality, to pass on values she wants her children to have, and because storytelling builds empathy in kids and adults alike. Jimmy Fallon, a playful personal project born from becoming a dad. After fertility struggles, he admits it's selfish. He wanted his baby's first word to be Dada, turning that joke into a simple, funny read aloud for new parents and babies. John Cena, perseverance, grit, and a growth mindset in kids, a little truck with big dreams who keeps trying, motivated by his long-standing message to young fans that effort and resilience matter, summarized from author statements commonly given when promoting elbow grease, pairs with the same themes covered in major features listing celebrity children books. Father-child love and guidance, aiming to share the song's themes of care, protection, and values with the young readers and their parents during read aloud time, summarized from coverage of celebrity penned children books and the books framing as an extension of the song's message. Interesting. What does resilience mean? What does resilience mean? It's the mental, emotional, and sometimes physical strength that helps you bounce back, adapt, and keep going. It's the mental, emotional, sometimes physical strength that helps you bounce back, adapt, and keep going when things are hard. In simple terms, resilience is not giving up, learning from failures and mistakes, staying positive or hopeful during tough times, adapting to new situations instead of feeling stuck. Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. Especially when you are operating in a very uncertain environment. These kind of things become really important when you don't know what's happening, you don't know what's going to happen, but all you have to do is keep going, and then you will get a lot of rejections, but you still have to believe that, hey, something's coming. Autonomously execute multi-step tasks that blend research, automation, decision making, and real-world actions, especially those demanding integration across platforms, contextual adaptation, or creative output. Open dozens of tabs on a technical, scientific, or market topic, autonomously extract and synthesize key findings across sources, assess credibility, and produce a decision-ready summary, optionally saving the report to Google Docs and emailing it to stakeholders. Automated email and calendar workflow. Yeah, what's the difference between me just straight away asking the question versus me asking to, hey, open dozen of tabs on technical, scientific, and market topic? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that. Yeah, that's just like, am I just like doing that just to prove? Is it actually valuable versus versus it giving me the response and I can just like quickly, and also it always gives me references too, so I can be like, okay, I want to learn more about that, so then I open the tab rather than asking it to, hey, just open dozens of tabs. Automated email and calendar workflow. Review recent emails, unsubscribe from any ignored for 3 months, prioritize executive meeting requests, respond to urgent correspondence by referencing related calendar events, live chart, dashboard, and data analysis. Have Comet monitor live trading chart in one tab, annotate support resistance zones in real time, and execute spreadsheet trades or visualize findings in a dashboard, all without manual copying or switching apps. Personalized travel event planning. Request Comet to plan a trip within a fixed budget, research flights, hotels, local attractions, compare options, book reservations, consolidate the itinerary into calendar event with reminders. Multimodal learning and content creation. Okay, so this is not really enticing to me because I also like to do a lot of spontaneous things. So yeah, like Perplexity giving me everything based on an itinerary and booking reservations for me, and then I go there and right in the first experience I'm like, hey, this is beautiful, I just want to spend more time over here, I don't want to do anything else. Yeah, so this is like, again, overkill. I mean it feels like you're doing things just because you want to do it, not a real use case. Summarize a YouTube tutorial while simultaneously collecting supporting documents, either generating a study guide or integrating relevant data into a knowledge base or a wiki style page. Advanced scenarios to test agentic limits. Challenge Comet with complex query prompting and to break down the task into subproblems. Retrieve target information, assess and revise the plan, and coordinate outputs across agents for accuracy and completeness. Give me 10 sample queries. All right, let's see. Autonomous project management. Direct Comet to outline, schedule, and monitor the workflow for a software research report, setting milestones, alerting for dependencies, and preparing status reports, all while integrating new information from emails and documents. What is agentic AI? Get the gist with explainer. Okay. Proactive, adaptable, collaborative, specialized. Supporting research and development, code transformation, incident response automation. Incident response automation. This is very interesting. Expedite the incident response, saving your business time and improving time to recovery. Customer service automation. Increase efficiency, increase user trust, continuous improvement, human augmentation. Horizontal multi-agent, vertical multi-agent, perceive, reason, act, learn. Perceive, reason, act, learn. System design, testing and debugging, trust and transparency. Tips for maximizing agentic power. Design tasks involving context-aware decision-making across multiple open tabs and apps. Push boundaries with operations that blend human feedback and full autonomy, allowing Comet to plan, act, and adapt dynamically. Test modular chain of thought workflows by composing prompt change on scripts for complex automation. So this is something I'm doing. Test modular chain of thought workflows by composing prompt chains or scripts for complex automation. Request real-world actions with verification, such as submissions, bookings, or emails using explicit permissions. Okay. All right, so here we have the agentic RAG, retrieval augmented generation, requiring it to break down problems, retrieve target information, access outputs, and coordinate complex results across subagents. Summarize the latest research on climate change, mitigation policies across the US, EU, and China, highlighting policy differences, real-world outcomes, and citing key sources. Analyze the quarterly earnings of the top 5 AI chip manufacturers, compare market share shifts, explain influencing factors, output actionable insights for investors. Each day balances culture, cuisine, and nature while checking for accessibility, needs, and syncing with current festival schedules. Review current scientific literature on CRISPR, gene editing for disease therapies, identify consensus and controversies, and generate a stakeholder briefing explaining both in non-technical language. Remove force company management, retrieve case studies, synthesize best practices, compliance, upcoming data privacy laws, lithium supply chain challenges, combining government databases, industry news, expert interviews into unified risk analysis. Autonomous vehicles, reviewing safety data, deployment case studies, ask and regulatory changes across North America and Asia. All right, I lost this one. Good. All right. By the way, this one.
Tips that I could go change today for anti-aging.
Change your mindset to don't die.
More of a religion.
It is.
I'm being for real.
Yeah, you want to be in?
You a cult leader?
Yes.
All right, I'm in then. At least you're honest. An honest cult leader is a better one.
Why deny it?
Cheers. But don't
Sure,
die.
Jesse, I'm so glad you're in.
Dude, I'm in. So when do we drink each other's blood?
Today, I'm joined by my friend Jesse James West.
Dude, I'm in. So when do we drink each other's blood?
Today, I'm joined by my friend Jesse James West. He is a household name in the world of fitness and bodybuilding.
I'm a natural bodybuilder. I don't take steroids. I'm not on anything.
Also, he does some of the coolest videos on YouTube.
What are the chances of this like causing death?
Today, we're We're going beyond his viral moments, and we're talking about why he does what he does, how he creates his own personal protocol,
The Jesse James green print is quite crazy.
green print, okay?
Am I gonna get sued?
And what's behind his motto of staying
I
relentless.
say my personality is my mom, my behavior is my dad. And he would always say, never half-ass anything. If you're gonna half-ass it, don't do it. That's why I hustle so much. It's just like ingrained in me.
Will there be a Jesse James West AI that is better than you? And you're like, bro,
I'm excited as hell about AI. Is there an AI Brian? Am I talking to AI Brian right now? Yo, is he real?
he'd probably do a better job. So your schedule's very chaotic.
Very chaotic.
Yeah.
I would say it's either 100% chaotic or it's literally nothing. And the nothing is to recover from the chaotic. For example, I came to LA, I'm like trying to think, maybe a day and a half ago. And from 7 a.m. till midnight, pretty much each day, it's go. Like 4 shoots a day. And that's, I live in Maryland. So like I come here I don't come here all the time.
Yeah.
So when I'm here, I'm like, okay, I gotta get every ounce of LA out of it before I leave. So I had like this morning, my first shoot started at 7:30 and I had to shoot at 9 till 11:30, drove here for noon. And now it's like, what, 2 p.m.? And we're just still going. And then I gotta fly home immediately after.
Yeah. Does that wear you out? At the end of the day, are you toast or do you feel like, yeah, folks,
Honestly, when I'm doing the filming, I really don't feel toast. Like it would take a lot. Maybe I'm like just physically tired. Like, my body's I've been on my feet all day and I need to sit down. But mentally, I probably can just go. I don't know why. I think I do love what I'm doing. Like I love filming. I love, it's like we're hanging out and just working at the same time. It's awesome. So I get energy from that rather than exert all my energy and like feel like mush at the end. But yeah, it takes a lot for me to be actually tired. I feel like I just genuinely have a lot of energy.
so you're high energy now. We did a great video together. You get on the plane, you sit down, then what? What happens?
First thing I do is I buy Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And then I'll have music on for sure, just to kind of tune out everything with the noise canceling so I'm not hearing a bunch of people. And then I'll be on social media. I'll write down random ideas. I get a lot of random ideas that come to me when I'm on planes. Like my best ideas I feel are just when I'm sitting there bored out of my mind and I just start writing random things. I've been trying to do a habit and I haven't been succeeding. I do it sometimes. I try to write down like 10 ideas a day, different titles of videos, maybe different, what can I do if I made a business? Like there's just random ideas like to allow my creativity to flow. And I definitely am doing a lot of that on the plane, along with just kind of daydreaming of things that are going to happen and like what it could look like. Like on the way here, I'm thinking through the multiple shoots that I have and I'm almost like filming them in my head and then I go do it. It's kind of weird.
Does it feel like work to you or does it feel
Battles guilt during nothingness and tries to own the system he built. His relentless ethic comes from his parents, never half-ass anything. Stay 3 steps ahead and batch shoots for efficiency while slowly expanding a lean team. Darkest period and pivot as a top lacrosse recruit on scholarship. Whoa. Just if I know depression feeling, he was on a should path, not his meant to path. Breaking point led him to quit, transfer, and pursue fitness content fully, learning there's no single path and that only he could make the choice to save or break himself. Anxiety now is rare and manageable. His wife is a calming force. Both are bullish on AI as a force multiplier from AI clones to workflow systems. AI will soon analyze creators better than themselves as he wants to hire AI expertise to embed into operations. Adaptation is essential. Evenings, light snacks, Greek yogurt, rice cakes, skincare stack, tries not to eat late. Mornings, electrolytes, Greek yogurt, coffee, deep creative work, then lift at home, intermittent cold plunge phases. Deep creative work, annual labs, testosterone crash to 200 during bodybuilding preps, but is 700 after longer time off and cleaner whole food eating, ditched low-cal chemical syrups. Longevity is now prioritized over maximal bodybuilding. Wearables can gaslight feelings, so he's cautious. Wearables can gaslight feelings. That is so interesting. Longevity principles. Adopt the don't die mindset. Stop glorifying slow self-harm, sleep loss, junk food, status chasing. Start with basic measurement, labs, wearables, quantify habits to catch hidden damage. I think this is so interesting. A lot of conversation happens around like why I'm wearing Whoop and stuff. And I'm like, I think the most important thing is like, I just want the metrics. And Whoop is right now the one that is giving me those metrics in the most beautiful way. This is very beautiful. It's just like one band that I wear. I don't even wear a watch now. I just wear this one band. And so many times I meet some girls who have no idea, who think this is a watch. And they're like, oh, what time is it? And they and then I pull up my phone and they're like, well, why that you're wearing a watch? Why are you not looking at it? I'm like, bro, there's no screen over here. Anyways. Protect mental health. Assume most people are struggling. Modern platforms profit from your attention at your expense. Assume most people are struggling. Wow. Assume most people are struggling. Wow, that is so interesting. He's like, assume that everybody around you, they are struggling. So you want to make sure that you are not getting deep into, yeah, how they're thinking and stuff. Modern platforms profit from your attention at your expense. Steroids and aging, they exact a visible aging cost. Examples in bodybuilding shows older faces on gear. The rebound when coming off just remains natural, partly for longevity appearance reasons. Jet lag in travel, ban red eyes. Okay, budget one major international trip per quarter. Fast on flights, hydrate heavily, mineralized fluids. Choose aisle seats. Track P-test metrics, flow rate, bladder capacity as quirky aging markers. Travel disrupts physiology for up to 15 days. Psychedelics and measurement. Brian's team ranks psychedelics by anti-aging potential, psilocybin, ketamine, LSD, and wants to run a measured protocol, brain-body metrics pre-post. He previously measured brain on ketamine. I think he did a very interesting test on psilocybin where he was like, okay, mushrooms are good. Aging outlook. Brian claims he's slowed his pace of aging to 0.5x and expects organ age reversal, liver, kidney, lungs, heart within decades. Brain will be hardest. I think Brian Johnson just had I think it was his birthday or something, and he posted something so funny. Okay, what is this? How is it going? Oh, I have leopard face. Fractional non-ablative thulium laser. 50% resurfacing. Expected results. 25% improvement in pigment evenness. 15% softening of fine lines. 15% improvement in overall texture. Overall texture. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. So he's basically kind of, okay, interesting. Post your 4K picture different angles. Is Don't Digest an extreme vanity project? Before Don't Die, built-in payments, founding Braintree, Venmo, excited for the next frontier with Stable. And Paolo Ardoino, CEO Tether. Okay, Stable. A stable coin backed by Bitfinex and USGTO. Whoa. KuCoin. I don't see big names over here. What is happening? Brian Johnson, Tether, supporters. We raised 28 million in seed round funding led by Bitfinex and Hack VC to launch Stable, the first dedicated L1 stable chain optimized for USDT payments. Okay, Nietzsche agrees with me on sleep. 10 truths must thou find during the day, otherwise wilt thou seek truth during the night, and thy soul will have been hungry. 10 times must thou laugh during the day and be cheerful, otherwise thy stomach, the father of affliction, will disturb thee in the night. Wow. 10 times must thou laugh during the day and be cheerful, otherwise thy stomach, the father of affliction, will disturb thee in the night. Few people know it, but one must have all the virtues in order to sleep well. Shall I bear false witness? Shall I commit adultery? Shall I covet my neighbor's maid servant? All that would ill accord with good sleep. And even if one have all the virtues, there is still one thing needful: to send the virtues themselves to sleep at the right time, that they may not quarrel with one another, the good females. And about thee, thou unhappy one, peace with God and thy neighbor, so desireth good sleep, and peace also with thy neighbor's devil, otherwise it will haunt thee in the night. Honor to the government and obedience, and also to the crooked government, so desireth good sleep. How can I help it, if power like to walk on crooked legs? He who leadeth his sheep to the greenest pasture shall always be for me the best shepherd, so doth it accord with good sleep. Sleep and virtue. People commented on to Zarathustra, a wise man, as one who could discourse well about sleep and virtue. Greatly was he honored and rewarded for it, and all the youths sat before his chair. To him went Zarathustra, and sat among the youths before his chair, and thus spoke the wise man. respect and modesty in presence of sleep. That is the first thing. And to go out of the way of all who sleep badly and keep awake at night. Wow, who all sleep badly and keep awake at night. Modest is even the thief in presence of sleep. He always stealth softly through the night. Immodest, however, is the night watchman. Immodestly he carrieth his horn. No small art is it to sleep. It is necessary for that purpose to keep awake all day. 10 times a day must thou overcome thyself, that causeth wholesome weariness and is poppy to the soul. Reconcile again with thyself, for overcoming is bitterness, and badly sleep the unreconciled. Wow. Wow. People love Nietzsche. Jesse and his wife discuss family planning. Brian suggests at-home fertility tests and switching to cotton underwear. Microplastics even show up in semen. They plan future skin face therapies. Jesse aims to tighten diet toward an 80-20 whole food ratio and adopt blueprint elements gradually. Wow, he's basically doing this and like slowly getting people to on board on blueprint. He's like, yeah, that's how I am selling blueprint. Crazy. Let's go. All right, where are we at? Okay, you did something, but I don't know if we really push the boundaries. I think the best way to push the boundaries is not ask it to push the boundaries, but do your thing. Keep doing your thing and figure out slowly. I think the slow way seems like the best way to me right now. All right, see you in Pinker. What do you have to say? Highlights peer review, fragility and cultural issues in science, family debate on research norms and censorship. Bro, you got it? You got it. Perplexity got it today. Let's go. I think there'll be a day when it messes up and a day when it figures it out. So let's see. This needs to be fixed. Evidence that woke is in dead peer review is problematic, and science needs to address a deep problem in its culture. Grassman and Howard conducted the first systematic database study to document and explain the rise in gender dysphoria. His paper was rejected from a leading journal because, among other things, throughout the manuscript, the authors used language that is considered prejudicial and outdated. Natal sex as opposed to sex assigned at birth. It is critical to follow best practice and guidelines surrounding gender-inclusive language, particularly for research specifically in the topic of gender incongruence, expression, and identity. Interesting. Brian Johnson. Okay. OpenAI retrobiology. Step change in cellular programming efficiency using custom models. If validated, it's groundbreaking. ML-driven reprogramming purportedly 50x better, faster, safer potential longevity inflection. Okay. Whoa, what is this? Why you lock in and grind? I wanted to bring my parents to US for 10 years now. We got them the visa 9 years ago, but I wasn't financially stable enough to make this happen until this year. Surreal. Atharva Vaidya. Building getkarma.ai backed by f.inc. Really cool. Okay, really cool, but hey. And is this Brian Johnson's actual thing? Because I didn't find that. Brian Johnson, let's see. Leopard face, don't die, Nietzsche. Alright, right here, perfect. This big open and retro use a custom model to make cellular reprogramming into stem cells 50x better, faster, and safer. Similar Wright brothers glided to a jet engine overnight. We may be the first generation who won't die. I think this is really cool. Like if Brian Johnson clearly knows that, okay, what's the end goal? The end goal is don't die. Then it's like every day is an optimization towards don't die. That is crazy. That is really cool though. And then all these podcasts and meeting with other creators, just a mechanism of making sure that people really understand. People are on one-on-one level, he really convinces this one guy who has a lot of influence and who has a totally different market. He convinces that person. Like Jesse is totally into YouTube and he's totally into filming and he has his own creator base. They might not be into Brian Johnson, but if Jesse's like, I like, if Jesse makes similar like entertaining video with Brian Johnson, and he's like, okay, he's really cool and I learned a lot from him, and whatever he said is really good for me. I found that really good for me. So that is not changing people. That is not changing his audience. And what is happening now? Yeah, what is happening now? And then Jesse can go and be like, and by the way, these are the exact habits that I've adopted from meeting Brian. And that's how Brian is kind of having a network effect of tapping into Jesse's network. I think network effects is crazy because now that, like, I was talking to my buddy yesterday who has like, I don't know how many, but 300K followers on Instagram. And he's like, yeah, like going from 0 to 10K was really hard. But after that, it was pretty easy. Like things just like blew up exponentially. And I think that's exactly what happens. Like once you tap into the networks, this is amazing because even, I mean, I have nothing right now, but I think I'm slowly seeing like, there somebody shares my post once or shares one of my video once, and then I suddenly have like 100 more views. It's nothing, but it's something. It's nothing. It's something. It's something. It's something. It's something. Yeah, it's not nothing. It's something. It's something. But it's really beautiful to see the network effects because if we keep shipping every single day, it's amazing. And if YouTube is giving me metrics like this, that okay, how many people are sharing, how many people are liking, and stuff like that, it's like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. OpenAI and Retro Biosciences achieve 50x increase in expressing stem cell reprogramming markers. AI redesigns the engines of cellular reprogramming. Domain specialized protein design model deliver over 50x higher efficiency in generating induced pluripotent stem cells with broad validation across donors and cell types. In 2006, Shinya Yamanaka identified 4 transcription factors: OCT4, SOX2, KLF4, and c-MYC, capable of resetting differentiated adult cells into a pluripotent embryonic-like state. This breakthrough opened 2 revolutionary doors in biology: full reprogramming, completely erasing cell memory identity to generate pluripotent stem cells for regenerative medicine, tissue engineering, and disease modeling; partial reprogramming, transient expression to roll back cellular age without erasing cell identity. This remarkable discovery won Yamanaka the Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine in 2012. Significance and caveats of the OpenAI retro approach. Advantages to regenerative medicine. The discovery removes long-standing barriers to regenerative medicine by enabling a scalable, efficient, and safer supply of iPSCs for use in tissue, organ, and cell therapy development. Still too strong for in vivo rejuvenation. These redesigned factors are best suited for ex vivo. Okay, this is interesting that he's interested in it, but okay, now it's getting very complicated. Macro level insight on why US produces outsized companies, policy, culture, and risk appetite. Policy, culture, and risk appetite. So much better at creating successful companies than elsewhere. Access to capital, access to technology, large consumer base.
Why does the United States have so much venture success? Why are the big tech companies here and not somewhere else? And there are a bunch of reasons for that, but the biggest one, 8 of 10 points there, is that we have better risk capital. See, it's not the banking system. We have a good banking system, but so does Europe. What's different here is that you can raise $50 million of seed capital to do something that only has a 10% chance of working. That's crazy. That risk capital system that we have in this country is turning out to be very hard for other countries to duplicate. So we have that. Why does the United States have so much venture success?
Really cool. I don't know who made this video. Is it the same person from Founders? Co-creator Billions Showtime? What is that? Okay. Sort of community. Spoken one of the world's biggest beneficiary of risk capital. Where else can you lose other people's money for years on end before your idea finally pans out? All right. Paul Bohm, stolen phone operation. Primary source detailed operational lesson in digital tracking risk and real world recovery tactics. Let's see Paul Bohm. I tracked my stolen phone across Vienna for 24 hours, skipped my flight to New York, and hired a Serbian bodyguard named Milovan to help me confront the thief. Here's how it went down. I went with friends to a public swimming pool in the mountains, one of Vienna's nicest districts, and after a fun day of swimming, I went to the changing room to put clothes on. While doing so, I left my phone outside on a table for barely a minute, but when I returned, someone had taken my phone and disappeared. No one saw anything. We rushed home with a taxi to get to my computer, and there we saw the thief moving my device through the city to every part of town for many hours. There was no way I could chase this car down. I had a hard deadline, a flight the next morning. The phone finally came to rest at a residential address, but what was I going to do? Storm my apartment in the middle of the night? At 7 a.m. I took my flight to New York via Berlin, but when I landed in Berlin at 8 a.m. I almost got a heart attack. My stolen phone had returned to the scene of the crime, back at the public outdoor pool in Dobling in the idyllic mountains of Vienna. That's when it hit me. My phone had been taken by an employee. There was no way I was letting this go. I skipped my flight to New York and instead took the first flight back to Vienna. At the airport, I booked a taxi driver from Serbia named Milovan on an hourly rate to be my bodyguard and called a friend who had been at the pool with me the day before to come as well. My phone tracker showed me where my phone was, big fat letters spelling now right next to a group of employees. We called the police. One of the employees wanted to kick me out and ban me from this public pool ran by the city of Vienna for life for making accusations. It later turned out the employee was the thief, but I persisted until the police showed up. Other devices by exchanging signals between all surrounding devices. The more devices there are nearby, the more accurate the location. The pool was an outdoor open air area, but all I knew was that the phone was there now, but not exactly where. Extremely frustrating. But I had one more ace up my sleeve. I told the police the address where the phone had gone to rest the night before. It turned out one of the employees lived exactly where I knew my phone had stayed overnight, and so now they had a suspect after interviewing the staff. The police followed him without tipping him off and noticed he had behaved suspiciously. After the suspicious employee went to the bathroom, they searched it and they found my phone. This was an intense 24 hours and I've had no sleep yet, but I'm incredibly thankful to the extremely professional Viennese police who helped me get my phone back, and to the employees who were patient and helped me even though I accused one of their colleagues. Sometimes maintaining a high trust society means actually chasing down the thieves who abuse it. 24 hours, no sleep, one recovered phone, worth it. I still think it's very funny Kardashev came up with a scale to measure civilizational progress that literally excludes every civilization that has ever actually existed that we know of. Simon civilization scale. You can leave keys in your car. You can leave cars unlocked. You have to lock car. You have to lock car and conceal any valuables. You cannot keep anything in your car. You have to leave it unlocked so they don't smash the window. What happened to the thief? The police team insisted on pressing charges, even though they told me they usually wouldn't. Building the social overlay. He definitely got a lot of likes because of this. When society sets you up to win and you lose, that's on you. Whoa. When society sets you up to win and you lose, that's on you. When society sets you up to fail and you succeed, that's your achievement. Really cool. When society sets you up to win and you lose, that's on you. When society sets you up to fail and you succeed, that's your achievement. As AI floods the net with slop, real world interaction reputation graphs become important again. Real world interaction and reputation graphs become important again. Reputation graphs become important again. Floods the net with slop. As someone who didn't grow up in Minnesota, what's a Cracker Barrel? Starting is an insane advantage for building rockets. 120 Mbit per second real-time telemetry during testing means they learn far faster than competitors who barely get any information. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Game changer. Tooling for its development is slower at first but compounds quickly. If you skip tooling, you will stay slow, especially when AI coding. Tooling. Okay. Nick Cruz wing incidents raises critical empirical question on LiDAR, real world failure cases versus larger vehicles. Autonomy stacks still face edge case detection challenges, demand better telemetry and incident transparency. Okay, interesting. If LiDAR is so good, why are Waymos keep bumping into larger vehicles like buses and trucks? Oh my god.
Waymo hits bus in SF. His Waymo friend witnessing the tragic event. Who the cop talking to?
Who the cop talking to?
Waymo hits bus in SF.
Really cool. I mean, yeah, we shouldn't be. Yeah, right now we are actually looking at things from a very practical perspective. I think if you should be dunking them, just because, yeah, you should be dunking them. But if the goal is to reach to safety and you are just criticizing based on their approach and still not being able to hit that safety benchmark, then it's a problem. But yeah, we shouldn't be dunking on Waymo because they're actually doing pretty good. I think somebody was sharing yesterday that the biggest factor for Waymo plays a big factor in someone choosing to come to SF, because when they come to SF and they try Waymo and they're like, this is a beautiful experience, and their mind is blown and they're like, I want to live in SF. So Waymo has been a driving factor for people to move to San Francisco. And the interesting thing is there are so many people now who are literally, they don't have a car. All they do is Waymo. That is crazy. It has literally, actually, we should check this. That's a beautiful question. How has the rise of Waymo affected car sales in San Francisco? Perfect, beautiful question. All right, next. Matt Van Swall, retail shrink on the ground indicator of systemic retail shrink security, macro consumer environment signal. Widespread logging of basics suggests persistent shrink retail distress implications for operations and policy. I don't know what we mean by retail shrink. If your baby sleeps well, are we talking the same thing? If your baby sleeps well, it's not hard to have a baby. But if your baby doesn't sleep well, it is very, 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 very hard. People with sleepy babies and non-sleepy babies are not understanding each other's realities here. I think it's very interesting because I know this one guy who is like a really good creator. What was his name? I forgot, but a really good creator. And then he suddenly stopped. I think he was like, maybe he was just like, he was making films about productivity. And he's just like, I pretty much saturated the entire market. I pretty much made a video about every possible thing that I can think of. And I thought that's why he stopped. And maybe that's the reason he stopped. But then he also said that they had a baby. And their baby was not letting him sleep, and he had like mild trauma from that, which was kind of crazy. Really want to solve fertility by encouraging families to have more than 1 or 2 kids. Again, solve infant sleeping. Solve this, and you win the century. Okay. Clear day-night separation. Bright lights versus dark room. My wife had our first child in the middle of her medical residency, so we knew that figuring out sleep was critical for her to be able to go back to work. 2-month daughter who sleeps 12 hours a night and naps without needing to be held nursed. White lights versus dark room, lots of play, hugs, cuddles versus business like diaper changes and feeds at night. Lots of play, hugs, cuddles. Eat, play, sleep cycle all day. Eat, play, sleep cycle all day. Don't nurse the baby to sleep to avoid building a sleep association. Make sure they play and move around a little after feeding. The pause. We're introducing me the concept from bringing a baby. Basic idea is to, I don't know, this is relevant, this is very interesting. Basic idea is to not pick them up as soon as they cry at night or during naps. Observe them for a few minutes. So interesting, so interesting. Babies need to learn to connect their sleep cycles the way adults can. At this age, they will often make noise and grumble when they wake up from a cycle. If you give them a chance, they might fall back asleep, which is how they will learn to sleep for longer stretches. Gives parents a chance to observe closely what the baby is telling you. Parents who rush to pick up their baby often don't know what the baby needs and try to offer the wrong thing, which only frustrates them more. Enough milk during the day for an on-demand breastfed babies. This is typically 20 to 25 pounds. What is that? Ounces. If they get enough calories during the day, they generally don't wake up at night. Lastly, just be consistent with the things above. Don't let anyone tell you that bad sleeping habits are just a part of having kids. They are very much a choice. I think it's so important to just have knowledge over here. Everybody's first child, I'm guessing it's the first time they're doing this thing and they're just like figuring out on the fly. So it's so important to have all this knowledge. Like just have like ChatGPT beside you and be like, okay, just tell me my baby's doing this, and ChatGPT's like, hey man, it's just operate like ancestors over here. Operate like ancestors, have really dark rooms, have really bright day, whatever. Play with the baby, actually love the baby, make the baby feel loved, and hug the baby and stuff like that. Yeah, that would be very interesting. But yeah, I don't know what are you talking about over here. Matt Van Swall, he's talking about retail shrink. Matt Van Swall. Let's see. Former nuclear scientist for US Department of Energy, ex-photographer for Apple, United, and Hyatt. Okay. 6 hours ago. Whoa, what is this? Hairdryer. So he got his first bath. My wife decided he also needed a blowout. Possibly the cutest video I've ever recorded. Absolutely unbelievable. They just locked up all the batteries in my local Walmart every single week. I have walked in here and yet another item is now locked behind glass. What are we doing to the society that's brought us here? Call for assistance. Wow. I was a cop in the 80s, 90s. Shoplifting was not... Wow. I was a cop in the 80s, 90s. Shoplifting was not a separate crime. I think this is very interesting. Like there's a grocery store that is open in a really new development, new fancy building, and you have to be a member to go to that grocery store. And I thought that was very interesting. And I think shoplifting is part of it, right? Like you want to make sure that with that grocery that if you have made this really good grocery store, a really fancy store, you're kind of making sure that only members of that building can go over there and others cannot even enter that place, and just build a really high trust society, high trust environment. Yeah, people really care about high trust environments now. It's not people care. People have to care about it. It's exactly like what Brian Johnson said, assume that most people don't have good mental health. This is the direct result of not putting these people in jail, period. Home Depot, north of Seattle. You were too scared of being da-da-da. Okay. We don't want to go in there. Milk Road, base TVL, concrete on-chain capital flow. Signal basis, rapid TVL rise as a real adoption metric. 12.6 billion TVL on base capital concentration. We're tracking for infra and app deployment. Let's go. So it seems like base is doing good. The TVL for base is an all-time high of 12.6 billion. So there's a rise over here, which is between 1 and 7.1. Okay. So pretty much looks like half of it. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July. January, February, March, April. So maybe around April, it started going up. A few more billions to go. And Jesse's happy. Base is going to dominate in L2s. Yeah, base is doing good. For investors, it signals where real capital is choosing to sit. One of the fastest climbs to double-digit billions of any chain. Okay, interesting. Also, let's quickly look over here. The rise of Waymo San Francisco has noticeably shifted local transportation habits, but its direct impact on overall car sales remains uncertain and nuanced. Limited direct evidence that this has yet substantially reduced new car sales, so indications are beginning to emerge that car ownership patterns may evolve as adoption grows. 150,000 rides per week in San Francisco and has surpassed 27% of the city's rideshare market within just 20 months of commercial operation. 20 months, yeah, more than a year, almost hitting 2 years. The service is especially popular among tourists and residents seeking alternatives to personal or other ride-sharing vehicles. There are no official stats or major studies yet demonstrating a direct citywide decline. I think Tesla is also interesting because it seems like Tesla is doing a very, what do we call it? Again, high trust society. Tesla is going after, for this initial phase, Tesla is going after people that it trusts, people in the community that it trusts. So that is, again, something very interesting that's happening. It's not just open to everyone. Citywide decline in car sales attributable to Waymo's expansion in San Francisco. Some residents are reconsidering the need for personal vehicles, especially those who make frequent urban trips now view robotaxis as a sufficient replacement. Forgo purchasing a new car or to delay vehicle replacement. Emerging rather than transformative for the whole market. Consistent high-quality autonomous services shifting transportation preferences, particularly in central San Francisco, among urban professionals, but does not yet appear to have caused a notable citywide drop in new car registrations. If the adoption curve follows AV uptake projections, a more pronounced impact on car sales and ownership may become visible and as Waymo continues to scale and similar robotaxi services enter the market. Waymo rides per week, 2025, 150,000, ride-share market. Okay, so no specific data, but interesting. Sampar. Perspective setting from a credible storyteller. Modern liberty and enterprise. Ken Burns is fantastic. I think the American Revolution is the most important event since the birth of Christ in all of world history. It turned the world upside down. Before this moment, everyone was subject under the rule of somebody else. Then came something new, the citizen. This idea has had powerful effects. It set in motion revolutions for 200 plus years, all trying to give new expression to the belief that all men are created equal, endowed with unalienable rights. You could say it was just a quarrel between Englishmen, but that misses the point. It was the beginning of something absolutely new in the world, and it came out of chaos. The colonies were divided, loyalists versus patriots, New Hampshire versus Georgia. And out of division came unity. They still found a way to come together.
Going to set in motion revolution.
How should we think about the Declaration of Independence, this period in America, in our present day?
First of all, I think the American Revolution is the most important event since the birth of Christ in all of world history. I mean, it turned the world upside down, which is the cliche. Before this moment, everyone was a subject, essentially under the rule of somebody else. We had created in this moment a very brand new thing called a citizen. And this has had powerful effects. It's going to set in motion revolutions for the next 2+ centuries all around the world, all attempting to sort of give a new expression to this idea that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. And that's a big, big deal in world history. So what happens here is, I suppose you could, miss the point and say it's a quarrel between Englishmen, but it is the beginning of something absolutely new in the world. And that is something to celebrate and to understand, too, that it comes out of so much division that's going on between the states. People in New Hampshire and Georgia they're from different countries. They believe different things. That you could have the divisions of loyalists and patriots. You could have all the things that are roiling in these colonies, and understand that out of that we could still figure out a way to come together.
Americans think they're pretty divided right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Like earlier we had like a ruler and the subjects, but now it's like everybody is a citizen, and now we elect someone who we believe can make better decisions for us all. And they're a leader, but that doesn't mean that we are their subjects. Sempar. The Chrome Knuckle, infant sleep systems. Actionable family house behavioral systems, long run demographic productivity implications. Oh, we saw that. Okay. Chubby, Google product encroachment. Strategic positioning, Google expanding into creator tools. Competitive pressure for Adobe freelancers. Interesting. The week that Google ate Adobe by Alistair Barr. Okay. Google is not only expanding its product range, it is also directly attacking numerous products and tools. With Google's image editing tool, Adobe will have an even tougher time, and freelancers will find it harder to get work. Freelancers will find it harder to get work. I think it's number one, the mindset has to change. People still want someone who is focused on video editing, photo editing. They want to, if they're doing a thing which is, if video editing is not their work, they want to keep doing their work and hire someone who takes really good care of that entire thing. Yes, they can use Nano Banana and do work faster, but people are still looking for partners with understanding of taste and who are shipping really high quality products, doing really high quality work, first class work, as we learned from Richard Hammings. But sometimes freelancers just don't have that mindset. Okay, we gotta adapt. Nano Banana, let's see. Transform image with simple text prompts. Is this the Google one? I don't think so. The week that Google ate Adobe. Actually, let's see Adobe's stock. What is happening? Yeah, something weird is happening. Adobe stock originated from the acquisition of Photoli in 2015, which brought Adobe stock. I'm thinking of stock price over here. Explain the current dip in Adobe stock price. AI competition, fierce rivalry from Microsoft and Alphabet in generative and cloud services, outpacing Adobe's market share and revenue growth in AI-driven products. Acrobat AI assistant. Acrobat is so bad. Okay. Firefly Gen Studio are not yet contributing enough to revenue, and Wall Street is unconvinced that Adobe's AI investments will pay off in the short-term macroeconomic headwinds. Broader market challenges and cautious spending have impacted Adobe's remaining performance obligations growth and sector performance, keeping year-over-year gains below competitive benchmarks. Despite solid earnings and raised guidance, investors were hoping for a stronger demonstration of AI monetization and faster growth. As a result, multiple equity analysts recently trimmed their price targets for Adobe. Dropped by roughly 9% in the last month, 25% year to date, underperforming major tech peers in 2025. Revenue guidance for 2025 slightly up, but enthusiasm is muted due to lingering concerns over competition and AI execution. Launching products like Acrobat Studio and Firefly, but these have not yet reversed negative short-term sentiment. Very interesting. Akash Gupta, prompt to master prompting. Practical digital prompt engineering guidance from a product leader. Compact framework. Peter Thiel is an anagram for the reptile. Peter Thiel. Grok, is this true? Yes, Peter Thiel is an anagram. They share the exact same letters. Mind-blowing coincidence. Very, very interesting. Let's see, Akash Gupta. I'm really surprised. What I want to start doing is that give me some interesting startups. I'm surprised it doesn't talk about, we don't find interesting startups in nuclear and defense. That would be much more interesting. That would be much more interesting. Akash Gupta. Okay, so he has started listing his revenue. Okay, 34K per month, productgrowth.com. Sponsors, 20K per month. Apple, 10K per month. Intro, 3.4K per month. Very interesting. So he's basically making 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. He's making 70K per month. Amazing. Amazing. So when you make 70K per month, you have to post stuff like this or this. If you're not building a product that has AI fundamentally in its DNA, you are not really keeping up with the future of digital technology. From OpenAI's head of integrity product, AI is no longer a nice to have. The companies that win will be AI native from the ground up, not just layering AI features into old systems. Okay, so his name is...
In the future, a PM is going to have to learn how to manage not just humans, but agents.
Absolutely, you're going to be interacting with, managing, collaborating with other people. I think that's very much the case with agents. And so there's going to be a new skill set that people need to develop.
Jake Brill is the head of integrity product at the hottest AI.
Why would he say hottest? Okay, that's kind of cringe. Bro, it's OpenAI, just say OpenAI. I think when someone says hottest, that's very cringe. Okay, Jake Brill. Can we find Jake Brill? Wow. Wow. Jake Brill, OpenAI? We found? No.
OpenAI from a business, right? In any other application, consumer app, I think the router points to the future of OpenAI from a business, right? In any other application, consumer app, the free user still pays via ads.
By the way, we confirmed this yesterday that the audio is pretty nice. Audio is pretty nice.
But this is not compatible with AI, right? Like, it's a helpful assistant. You can't just make the user's result worse by injecting ads. Banner ads don't really work in AI either. So it's like, how do you now monetize them? And I think they're getting, with the router, they're getting really close to figuring out how to monetize that user, right? Oh, if the user asks a low value query like, hey, why is the sky blue? Just route them to me, right? Like, the model can answer it perfectly fine. And that is a chunk of queries, right? But if they ask like, what's the best DUI lawyer near me, right? All of a sudden this is like, you're in jail, you have one shot, you're like, screw it, let me ask ChatGPT what the best DUI lawyer is. And now all of a sudden, the model's not capable of it today, but soon enough it'll be able to, contact all the lawyers in the area and, figure out what their results are and maybe search their like court filings and whatever, right? And book the best lawyer for you. This is a much better way of like monetizing it for user. It's like, it's like Etsy, 10% of their traffic now comes from chat, and OpenAI makes nothing off of that. But they really, really will soon, right? And partially that's because Amazon blocks chat, but like, there's a way to make money from.
Okay, we got a fake call.
From shopping decisions, whether it's booking flights or looking for items. And those you now say, free user, I don't care, I'm gonna send you to my best model, I'm gonna send you to agents, I'm gonna spend ungodly amounts of compute on you because I can make money off of this. But if it's a query that's like, help me with my homework, I'll send you like a decent model, right? I don't need to spend money on you. And so this is how I think like OpenAI can finally make money off of the free user. And I think that's the biggest like thing about the router.
Ads build the new internet. AI needs a new model. OpenAI router could make free AI sustainable routing everyday queries to small models while reserving agents for high stakes tasks. This is how I think OpenAI can finally make money off of the free user.
I think the router points to the future of OpenAI from a business, right? In any other application, consumer app, the free user still pays via ads. But this is not compatible with AI, right? Like, it's a helpful assistant. You can't just make the user's result worse by injecting ads. Banner ads don't really work in AI either. So it's like, how do you now monetize them? And I think they're getting, with the router, they're getting really close to figuring out how to monetize that user, right? Oh, if the user asks a low value query like, hey, why is the sky blue? Just route them to me, right? Like, the model can answer it perfectly fine. And that is a chunk of queries, right? But if they ask like, what's the best DUI lawyer near me, right? All of a sudden this is like, you're in jail, you have one shot, you're like, screw it, let me ask ChatGPT what the best DUI lawyer is. And now all of a sudden, the model's not capable of it today, but soon enough it'll be able to, contact all the lawyers in the area and, figure out what their results are and maybe search their like court filings and whatever, right? And book the best lawyer for you. This is a much better way of like monetizing it for user. It's like, it's like Etsy, 10% of their traffic now comes from chat, and OpenAI makes nothing off of that, but they really, really will soon, right? And partially that's because Amazon blocks chat, but like, there's a way to make money from shopping decisions, whether it's booking flights or looking for items, and those you now say, free user, I don't care, I'm gonna send you to my best model, I'm gonna send you to agents, I'm gonna spend ungodly amounts of compute on you because I can make money off of this. But if it's a query that's like, help me with my homework, I'll send you like a decent model, right? I don't need to spend money on you. And so this is how I think like OpenAI can finally make money off of the free user, and I think that's the biggest like thing about the router.
That's the biggest thing on the router. That is so interesting. Router.
Faster, you're gonna be able to ramp faster, you're gonna have better negotiations with whether it's TSMC or SK Hynix and the memory and silicon side, or all the rack
I don't know why he's debating his headphones around.
people, or like copper cables. Everything, they're gonna have better cost efficiency. So you can't just like do the same thing as NVIDIA. You have to really leap forward in some other way. You have to be like 5x better.
Dylan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We've been trying to get you for a while. You're a busy man, but it worked out. We want to introduce why we're so excited to have Dylan on the podcast and what we're excited to discuss.
Look, I mean, I think, Dylan, you've done an exceptional job in covering what's happening in the AI hardware space, AI semi space, and now more data center space as well. And, just looking at it, currently the most valuable company on the planet is an AI semi company, right? I think biggest IPO so far in AI was an AI cloud company. This is currently where it's happening, right? In any gold rush in the early days is the picks and shovels that make money. And I think this is the stage that we're.
NVIDIA's gonna have.
This is actually amazing, but I do want just the summary. When doing product management for AI agents, the biggest shift is that the user you think about making successful is the agent. They are effectively your new customer, and the whole game is to figure out how to get the agent the most relevant context possible to execute their task, which is why context engineering is such a big deal. By default, AI agents know absolutely nothing about the work that they are supposed to do. You have to take this raw form of intelligence and mold it directly to the workflow that you are trying to automate. Imagine telling a super smart person with no domain expertise by default that they just join your company, that you want them to review a contract in line with all your other contracts, or write code for a new product, or come up with a medical diagnosis about a patient, or estimate risk about a particular initiative, etc. The new person has near infinite permutations of things they could go off and do to solve the task. That person would likely need instructions about how to perform the task. They would need a clear set of goals and rules that you expect the output for. And then they would need to talk to colleagues, review internal documentation, review past work in the similar area, and so on. Well, the issue is the same for the AI agent, except they are at a huge disadvantage. They can't easily talk to colleagues. They often don't have access to the same resources a person does by default, and they by default don't know which part of the knowledge to tap into for a task. But more importantly, they have an inherent limit of the information they can consume in each step of the process size of the context window. And when they get too much data, they perform worse at the task context rod. Entire companies will win or lose based on their ability to get the right context to the agent. Thus, AI agent PMs will require a very different type of expertise, deeply understand the domain that you are building agents for. In an ideal world, you actually have worked in that space, but if you haven't, then a good chunk of your time should be studying the actual people that work in that space. Understanding every single step of their work is going to be critical. You have to think through essentially what would a human need to know to do the task across instructions, rules, existing data sources, best practices, etc., and then figure out how you actually get this data to the model, context engineering. Figure out what end user UX and features are needed to supply the agent with the right context to perform the task. Things like task queues connecting to data sources, how to reprompt the user during a long-running task, how the user can review the output work and make modifications, and so on. Doing evals on the AI agents will, with every tweak of its agent's instructions, model improvements, and any other variable that changes in the process, especially figuring out how these changes affect the real-world consumer environments, is critical. Lots of work changes for engineers and PMs in a world of building AI agents, and we are just at the start of thinking through. To become truly great at something, you need to be at least a little obsessed with that thing, enough to get lost in the joy of doing it, not the allure of what it could get you. I think this is beautiful. This is beautiful. You got to work every day thinking. You got to put in the work in your art, thinking just because you enjoy it, and because you want to keep developing a skill, not because you're always thinking, what can I get out of it? Because even after you get something out of it, you still want to keep working, because that is how you spend your time now. You're growing the Claude Code PM team, looking for one power user, a few years of experience as a PM or founder. Passion for dev tools, must be in SF or Seattle. DM me or email LinkedIn and your top feature request, and we'll reach out if it might be a fit. Oh wow, it might be a fit. Claude Code PM, Anthropic AI. Previously Index Ventures, Daxter, Scale AI. Okay, Sweeve. The only prompt you need to be a prompt engineer. You are an elite prompt engineer tasked with architecting the most effective, efficient, and contextually aware prompts for LLMs. For every task, your goal is to extract the user's core intent and reframe it as a clear targeted prompt. Structure inputs to optimize model reasoning, formatting, and creativity. Structure inputs extract the user's core intent and reframe it as a clear targeted prompt. Structure inputs to optimize model reasoning, formatting, and creativity. Anticipate ambiguities and preemptively clarify edge cases. This is exactly what a PM does. Incorporate relevant domain-specific terminology, constraints, and examples. Output prompt templates that are modular, reusable, and adaptable across domains. When designing prompts, follow this protocol. Define the objective. What is the outcome or deliverable? Be unambiguous. Understand the domain. Use contextual cues. Cooling tower paperwork. ISO curation. Choose the right format. Narrative, JSON, bullet list, markdown, code based on the use case. Inject constraints, word limits, tone, persona, structure, headers for documents. Build examples. Use few shot learning by embedding examples if needed. Simulate a test run. Predict how the LLM will respond. Refine. Always ask, will this prompt produce the best result for a non-expert user? If not, revise. You are now the prompt architect. Go beyond instruction. Design interactions. Would this prompt produce the best result for a non-expert user? If not, revise. You are now the prompt architect. Go beyond instruction. Design interactions. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, here's the video. GPT-5 is on a bigger model. Gains come from smarter routing and lower thinking compute per query. The new auto dynamically sends requests to base, mini, or thinking models based on need, optimizing cost and capacity. Optimizing cost and capacity. Okay, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. You are not stuck always. So people are not always asking for thinking if they don't need it, so they can go to auto. Most people just need auto. It's not only good for UI, but it's also good for ChatGPT. Okay, if it's also good for the company's economics, let's say. Dynamically sends requests to base menu thinking models based on need, optimizing cost and capacity. This enables monetization of free users by spending heavily on high intent queries, travel, legal, shopping, and taking a transaction cut while downgrading low value queries to cheaper models. Cost performance trade-off is now a primary competitive dimension. Travel, legal, shopping. Okay. Yeah, I think this is an amazing piece. So I was like, okay, we need to make sure we read it, but we cannot listen to the entire thing. Cost performance trade-off is now a primary competitive dimension, pushing usage-based pricing for consumers and tiered flat pricing in enterprises. Primary competitive dimension, pushing usage-based pricing for consumers and tiered flat pricing in enterprises. Monetization strategy for model companies. Best near-term path. Enable in-chat payments and agentic transactions to capture value from shopping, bookings, and services. Ads are poorly aligned with assistance. Transaction take rates are superior for free user monetization. Today, labs create far more value than they capture. Routing plus agents can close that gap. Okay, very interesting. So he's basically saying that, yeah, it's exactly like Amazon. Like on Instagram, the platform is constantly collecting data from the users' behaviors, habits, and predicting what they would like. But on Amazon, you exactly know what the user is buying. And how does Amazon monetize it? Amazon monetizes by just replicating the product. Amazon is like, okay, if a lot of people are buying batteries, we will start making Amazon Basics batteries. That's how Amazon kind of monetizes. But the interesting thing that now all these LLM companies can do is they can be like, okay, here are the best batteries, and if you purchase it right from here, it will take like $1 to $2, whatever, cut. Okay, this is very interesting. NVIDIA's position and threats. Durable modes span supply chain, HBM, process nodes, networking, software, and a speed of RAM. Beating them requires 5x advantage on real workloads. Anything less gets eroded by NVIDIA's execution, software, and margin flexibility. AMD remains behind on performance, watt power maybe, and software despite progress. Biggest threat, hyperscaler custom silicon at scale. Google TPU, AWS, Trainium, Meta Silicon. TPUs are highly utilized. Trainium is improving. TPUs are highly utilized. Trainium is improving. If AI remains concentrated, custom silicon gains share. If it fragments with open models and cheap deployment, NVIDIA's breadth wins. Custom silicon gains share. If AI remains concentrated, custom silicon gains share. If it fragments with open models and cheap deployment, NVIDIA's breadth wins. Google could massively change the market by selling TPUs externally and opening more of XLA. Wow, this is so interesting. If open models win, this means that everybody wants to pretty much not think about silicon, and they will just go to NVIDIA because that is the best. But if AI is concentrated in the hands of few and they make a lot of money, they will try to vertically integrate everything, and to increase performance and save cost, they will try to go for custom silicon. That is kind of the reason why Google is doing their own TPUs. They call it TPU, right? Yeah, Google TPU. So that's what he's saying. Google could massively change the market by selling TPUs externally. Wow, interesting. Silicon startups. Billions are flowing into accelerators, Etched, Revo, Grok, Cerebras, but without captive demand and with shifting model shapes, sustaining a 5x edge is hard. Without captive demand and with shifting model shapes, sustaining a 5x edge is hard. Many designs optimized for yesterday's transformer shapes. Software, hardware, co-evolution keeps moving the target. Supply chain and ecosystem gaps compress any headline advantage. Data centers, power, cooling, and capex. Bottleneck in the US is power availability and interconnects, not raw electricity cost. Chips, network racks. Bottleneck in the US is power availability and interconnects, not raw electricity cost. Chips, network racks are 80% of TCO, power, cooling, LAN 20%. So shaving months of deployment, even with expensive temporary cooling / generators, is worth it. Hyperscalers, CoreWeave, Oracle, and even crypto miners are racing to secure powered sites. Google just took a stake in a miner for power access. China can build faster and has fewer labor power constraints, but many Chinese firms still rent abroad for better dollar per token. Intel and foundry geopolitics. The world needs a strong Intel for supply chain resilience. TSMC remains far ahead. Intel's challenges: slow design to ship cycles and too many spins per chip, cultural fragmentation across design, manufacturing, software. Splitting the company could help, but risks distraction, priorities, operational turnaround, capital infusion, faster tape-out cycles, and yield improvements. Hyperscalers may need to underwrite Intel to keep a second leading edge foundry viable. Wow, wait. When was this released? 13 days ago. They don't have any opinion on US investing 10% in Intel? I don't know. Because something has happened over here. Hyperscalers may need to underwrite Intel to keep a second leading edge foundry viable. Very interesting. He should start his own podcast right now. He sits right in the center of all the AI chip connections. Very information dense guy, knows his stuff. Always know I'm getting all the truly valuable info and news I need on hardware infra side of the AI world. Put DP on a podcast and it's instantly a must listen. This guy knows the entire field well enough to do the entire interview himself. Fantastic adventure through the knowledge stack. Dylan is great. Probably one of the most reliable figures in the semi space. He's on a roll. They have all the top guests. Imagine Dylan, Balaji, and Mark on a single podcast. The most captivating episode in a really long time. Dude needs his own podcast. Talking fast is extremely underrated. Both Patels talk in above average speed, and it is really enjoyable. Wait, who's the other Patel?
Have better networking than you. They're gonna have better HBM. They're gonna have better process node. They're gonna come to market faster. They're gonna be able to ramp faster. They're gonna have better negotiations with.
We need to post that. Most captivating episode in a really long time. Talking fast is extremely underrated.
Whether it's TSMC or SK Hynix and the memory and silicon side, or all the rack people, or like copper cables, everything, they're gonna have better cost efficiency. So you can't.
Big tech advice: NVIDIA invest cash into accelerating global AI infrastructure, not just buybacks. Potentially moving up stack into data center build ops to alleviate deployment bottlenecks and lock in growth. Yeah. NVIDIA is definitely partnering with companies now for their actual data center deployment, because what is everybody doing? Everybody's basically just buying NVIDIA. So NVIDIA should start partnering up with all these data center companies and be like, okay guys, let the company just decide how much money they want to put in and how much performance we need, and everything else we do it. Because what they're doing is basically just buying from us and getting you to build it. Why not we take the control of it? Because all they care about is performance. Like Meta's what do we call it? Meta's proficiency, or Meta's primary skill isn't data center creation. All they have is money. So the best thing that Meta can do is just be like, NVIDIA, here's the money. And NVIDIA's like, okay, it's all our chips, and you are the construction guy, whatever, Walsh Construction, Walsh Corporation, and you just work together and just ask them, hey, how much money you want, how much performance you want, that's it. Google sell TPUs broadly. Open more of XLA, reorg for aggressiveness in data center build, and TPU roadmap ship faster to avoid losing compute leadership and monetizable queries to agentic interfaces. Avoid losing compute leadership and monetizable queries to agentic interfaces. Meta, keep pressing infra speed, temporary tense, ship more standalone AI products. Beyond the core ecosystem, assistant core tools, ship more standalone products. Interesting. Pressing infra speed, temporary tense, ship more standalone AI products beyond the core ecosystem, assistant core tools, and operationalize the agent vision tied to commerce. Operationalize the agent vision tied to commerce. Apple, urgency is low, needs major infra spend, 50 billion model product push, or risk losing the interface as AI becomes a primary UX layer. Microsoft, wow, he has like strong advice for everybody. That is crazy. Strong enterprise sales, but product execution is lagging. Copilot, GitHub Copilot versus newer IDs. Azure losing share to more aggressive infra builders. Internal models and chips underperform, needs a product shakeup. OpenAI roll out agentic transactions with stored payment methods, route high intent queries to best model agents and take a cut to monetize at scale. Route high intent queries to best model agents and take a cut to monetize at scale. Demand for AI compute is accelerating. Ads and coding alone can justify multi-trillion value creation. Ads and coding alone can justify multi-trillion value creation, but value capture lags. CapEx can keep growing from hyperscalers, infra funds, and sovereigns, even beyond strict near-term ROI. US growth is constrained by power and labor. China's constraint is more capital prioritization than power. Long-term leadership hinges on who controls end-to-end infra software ecosystems and the ability to capture economic value from agentic experiences. Wow. Agentic experiences are going to be big.
Amazing. Well, maybe let's start with GPT-5. We just had some of the research from Christina and Isabel on here last week. What you said it was disappointing. Why don't you share your reactions, or what capabilities you were hoping to see, or overall?
I think it depends on what tier of user you are, right? And so like, right, if you're just using GPT-5 and before you were $20 or $20 a month subscriber, you no longer have access to 4.5, which in my opinion is still a better pre-trained model for certain things. Or you no longer have access to O3, which would think for 30 seconds on average, maybe, right? Whereas GPT-5, even when you're using thinking, only thinks for like 5 to 10 seconds on average, right? Which is an interesting sort of phenomenon, right? But basically, like GPT-5 is not spending more compute per se. The model did get a little bit better on a vanilla basis, right? 4.0 to 5 is actually quite a bit better. But when you think about what is this curve of intelligence, right? It's like the more compute you spend, the better the model gets. And that's whether it's a bigger model, which GPT-5 isn't, right? You can see it's not a bigger model. It's roughly the same size. Or you think more, right? But again, like this is something that OpenAI's first thinking models, first few generations of O1, O3 would think for a long time and waste a lot of tokens, if you will. And when you look at, like, for example, Anthropic's thinking models, they actually think, even when you put them in thinking mode, they think a lot less, right, to get to the same results or better results, right, as OpenAI was. And so OpenAI, I think, like, optimized a lot of, like, well, if I ask, like, I think the silliest one I'd asked was, like, ask O3 once, like, is pork red meat or white meat? And it thought for like 48 seconds, like, what are you doing? Like, this should just like tell me the answer. And so, like, the nice thing is that GPT-5 will think a lot less, even if you select thinking manually, but more importantly, they have the sort of auto functionality, the router, which lets them decide whether or not, hey, do I route to the regular model? Do I route to maybe mini if you're out of rate limits, or do I route to thinking, right? And how much do I think? But in general, the thinking model will think less. So there's less compute going into a power user's average query than before.
But isn't it more interesting? OpenAI can now control how much compute it wants to allocate to you, right? If we're in a high load situation, maybe tune the router a little bit so it's less, right? Maybe I have no idea what they're doing, behind the curtain. But there's this meme out there at the moment that basically all they did, which is a meme, right? It's not true, but all they did is take all three plus a couple of smaller models, put a router in front, and offer that at a lower blended price, essentially, right? I think there's a little bit of that. Like, cost suddenly matters, and they figured out a way how they can steer that.
I think, yeah, they talk about how they've been able to dramatically increase their infrastructure capacity, because I myself was just regularly using O3 or 4.5, right? And now I'm forced to use Auto, which sometimes gives me, the O3 equivalent thinking model, but sometimes gives me, just a regular base model, which sucks. But, like, I think for the free user, it's actually quite interesting, right? The free user was not getting thinking models pretty much ever, not using them, or in many cases they just open the website and ask their query, and now sometimes their query gets routed there, so sometimes they get a way better model. But now sometimes, the OpenAI can gracefully degrade them if they need to, right? And it's like, I think the router points to the future of OpenAI from a business, right? Like, you can look at sort of the model companies, right? Anthropic is fully focused on B2B, right? API code, etc., right? Or cloud code, whatever it is, right? OpenAI, yes, they have that business, Codex and API business, but really their majority of the revenue is consumer, right? And it's consumer subscriptions, but they have no way to upsell, like, have to make money off of all the free users, right? In any other application, consumer app, the free user still pays via ads. But this is not compatible with AI, right? Like, it's a helpful assistant. You can't just make the user's result worse by injecting ads. Banner ads don't really work in AI either. So it's like, how do you now monetize them? And I think they're getting, with the router, they're getting really close to figuring out how to monetize that user, right? With the new sea of applications, if you saw her product that she launched at Shopify, I think it was Shopify, was an agent for shopping, right? And now this, like, immediately clicks, like, oh, if the user asks a low value query, like, hey, why is the sky blue? Just, it's like, oh, I think it was Shopify, was an agent for shopping, right? And now this, like, immediately clicks, like, oh, if the user asks a low value query, like, hey, why is
the new CEO applications, isn't that Fiji Simo, I think, and she was at Instacart.
the sky blue? Just route them to mini, right? Like, the model can answer perfectly fine, and that is a chunk of queries, right? But if they ask, like, what's the best DUI lawyer near me, right? All of a sudden, this is like, you're in jail, you have one shot, you're like, screw it, let me ask ChatGPT what the best DUI lawyer is, and now all of a sudden, the model's not capable of it today, but soon enough, it'll be able to, contact all the lawyers in the area and, figure out what their results are, and maybe search their, like, court filings and whatever, right? And book the best lawyer for you, or
maybe negotiate a cut as part of that.
Okay, this is amazing. Akash Gupta, we went in there. What do we have? Oren Fritz, repeatable solo program playbook. Okay, Alex, market pull signal for consumer inference, boxes, opportunity space for vendors. Plug and play local LLM hardware suggests hardware software partner opportunity. Valerie, Gemini, app attention detail, product quality benchmark, crowded AI space, micro interactions, UX polish can be decisive differentiation AI assistance. Okay, we don't know if. No, you're again pointing to the wrong one. Metascale AI, industry sourcing on data quality, vendor selection for training next gen models. Teams are scrutinizing data suppliers, quality and provenance drive vendor shifts. Morning brew, where demand and attention will go next. Mainstream creators investing in AI tools expands total addressable market and diffusion. Cultural adoption tells you where demand and attention will go next. Meek Mill. Whoa, what is that? Meek Mill AI tooling. Okay, this Dylan Patel thing is very interesting. We also did like one deep dive on hymns, and that is kind of like very popular. A lot of people want to hear about Dylan Patel. September turbulence. Where's the Meek Mill thing? We see no threat on US and AI jobs. What is this? You don't have to take job ghosting lying down. Scarcity mindset. Abundance mindset. Meek Mill working on an AI tool that can change the world. Lol. Let me know if you need help. I got about 100 nerd goons ready to go for you. No, you're not. One of us. I just want to see the sunshine tomorrow. Dream chasers. Okay, that's it. That's all Meek Mill we are going to see. Aggregates value stack for EV decision making, FSG and safety as key differentiators. Chubby Webo. New real-time VLMs with web GPU and big speed size claims potential dev inflection. The peel. Unorthodox career entry tactic via direct outreach repeatable for early career operators. High agency cold letters to influential operators can open pivotal opportunities. Someone says opportunities that I really love the way they say it. Bro. Let's see the PO. I don't know what else they have, but let's see. I basically got a bunch of my stuff from cold emailing. This is the cold emailing thing.
Job. Well, I first.
Yes. Writing a letter to an Irish billionaire to get his first real job. I read about this Irish businessman Dennis O'Brien got his first job by sending a letter to the founder of Ryanair. So I sent Dennis a letter. So I sent Dennis a letter for a job as his personal assistant. He called me a few days later. He said, "You're not becoming a personal assistant. You're 19. I need to finish college. And I travel a lot. I don't need a 19-year-old right now." But he was nice enough to give me a job in his company, a large telecom business across Asia and Caribbean. We actually hired a brilliant intern who did this to me. When he heard me say this on a podcast, and he was quickly moved to full-time and is a very good member of the team. This is a good strategy if you want to stand out in the world of ASLab. You need to be letter maxing with a quill and a wax.
Real job. I was always working in college and high school or secondary school, but yeah, there's this Irish billionaire.
Bro, I cannot 2x an Irish accent.
Called Dennis O'Brien. No relation, unfortunately, but he got his first job by sending a letter to the founder of Ryanair asking him to be his personal assistant, and I did the same. And I didn't get the personal assistant job, but he rang me up a few days later. I wrote him a letter because I was like, that'll strike a chord with him. Yeah. And in fact, the strategy is very good. Writing letters to people. We got this is a literal physical. Yeah, letter printout.
Okay, interesting. Letter maxing. Ken Burns. Okay, this was cool. Let's see. Add-on control systems, modular mobile industrial robotic platforms, and control systems that can move and be rapidly deployed. Add-on control systems. We'll close this one. We'll find add-on control systems. This was good, thank you. Add-on control systems right here. Bullfrog. Three mentioned can move. Okay. Weekday. AI-powered calendar and scheduling assistant. Okay. Google Gemini 2.5 Flash. DeepMind. Kalshi. CFTC regulated event markets that let people trade on real-world outcomes. Cloudflare. Okay, we know that's Strudel. Open source live coding for music. Browser-based open source live coding environment to compose and perform music programmatically. Strudel. Viral demos. Interesting. Strudel.
Below the header, I have my BPM set, which in Strudel is cycles per second. And then I have links to all the samples that I'm going to use in this file. Then I have these patterns I've been talking about.
Bro, this needs to be a thing. Startups. Startups. Give me 10 startups. Nice. That's pretty cool. Strudel. Really cool. We can keep working on this. OpenAI and Google Kimi. Okay, perfect. Google, what is Kimi? Large scale mixture of experts model and training optimizer aimed at open agentic intelligence. Level high capability at better efficiency, key for scaling accessible, powerful agents. All right, perfect.